don't think there's anything more critical to personal financial success than really understanding where your money goes every month. Even people who think they have a good idea of how they spend their money end up being surprised when they carefully track spending and add everything up. Today we're going to show you how to get started tracking your expenses and show you how and why it will help you to reach your financial goals. If you're like most people, tracking your expenses will end up being a little shocking. What shocking news are you going to find out when you start tracking your expenses? We'd love to know. For those of you following along with the Frugal Fresh Start Challenge, we're on day 3. I'm Stephanie and this is Mike. We blog at sixfiguresunder.com where we help families live frugally so they can pay off debt and reach their financial goals. We probably all have some ideas about where we could improve some of our spending habits, but until you know exactly how much you spend on what, you don't have enough information to make a measurable improvement.
Tracking expenses will expose some hidden aspects of our money habits. Some expenses are overlooked because they happen automatically, like having auto pay on a credit card payment, so we never actually look at the bill. Others don't seem significant until you add up a month's worth of individually small transactions. Whether it's seeing how much you really spend on eating out, or what parking fees actually amount to, or how much groceries actually cost, tracking your spending in detail is always an eye-opener. You might be tempted to go back and try to recreate the past when you start tracking your expenses. Resist that urge, just start today. I know you have good intentions, but it will be frustrating and it'll probably make you want to bag the idea entirely. Write down everything you spent today, including cash purchases, checks, online purchases, automatic withdrawals, and bill pay, everything, and then do it again tomorrow.
The easiest way to track expenses is also the simplest. Get a pad of lined paper, write the month at the top, and write one expenditure per line for every expense of the month. On page 6 of your workbook, there's a page with an expense tracker that you can use. Just print more as you need them. If you haven't downloaded the workbook, there's a link below for you to join the Frugal Fresh Start Challenge, and then you'll get the workbook emailed to you for free. If you're comfortable with Excel or another spreadsheet program, a spreadsheet is just an electronic version of lined paper, but it's a little more useful because it keeps a running total of each category's total spending. In just a minute, I'll show you exactly how to use both of those tools, the written expense tracker and the online spreadsheet version. I even have one that you can download for free. But first, let's talk about some important general principles.
Be sure to categorize carefully. For your spending data to be useful, you need to categorize each expense and be meticulous about categorizing. Avoid categories like shopping or miscellaneous or other catch-alls that don't force you to analyze your purchases. Knowing you spent $400 last month on miscellaneous things isn't very helpful. You really need to know where your money is going in order to improve your financial habits and be more frugal. We'll get more into categories next week when we start on budgeting, but for now, just be careful not to be overly broad in your categories. Be careful of using programs like the website Mint to categorize for you. When you start paying attention, you'll realize that Mint doesn't do a very good job of categorizing your spending. You can still use Mint to track spending if you like, just don't count on it being as automated as you think.
We have a thrift store that's run by the local hospice, and Mint always categorizes that as medical. It cracks me up.
It is a little bit funny. While it's convenient to have transactions automatically appear like they do in Mint, real awareness of your spending habits comes when you write down or manually enter transactions. Not only will you get the category right the first time, you'll have an intimate relationship with your spending as it happens every day.
Okay, so I just want to give you an idea of how to use this expense tracker. We're going to put in categories here, like we'll say, my pen, food, gas, clothes, household. Just for an example, we'll put our date, so we'll say it's the 4th, and we go to Target. We spend $37.25. You can put notes about what it is that we got, and we'll say that $10 of that was on food, and we spent $27.25 on clothes. And later today we go to Safeway, spend $72.30 on food, so put $72.30 on food. And also, while we're at Safeway, we do another transaction where we spend $57.03 on gas. So we put $57.03 on gas. So we're just going to go through the whole month and continue to write down all our expenses, add more categories as you need them, and like we did with the Target expense, we're going to break them up into our categories. Okay, here's a free Excel spreadsheet that you're welcome to use for tracking your expenses, or you can make a similar one yourself. Let me show you quickly how to use it. It's very similar to the written one, where you put the date, the payee, the total spent, any notes you have, and then divide the expense out within the categories. The benefit of using a digital as opposed to just a written version is that it's set up so that the category total is a running total up here. So if we're to add another, let's see, another date here, we went to Target, spent $80. 20 of that was groceries, so you'll see when I enter that, the grocery total went up $20, and $30 of household, and $30 of clothing. So this in and of itself is not a budget, it's just an expense tracker. So at the end of the month, you'll be able to see how much you spend on groceries or how much you spend on household. You can make it your own and add in however many categories you want. This thing goes on for a while. And of course you can delete the original transactions that are in here. They're just there to give you an example and show you how to use it. I'll put a link down below to the blog post where you can download this spreadsheet. With the way we budget, we'll get there on day 7, tracking expenses is inseparable from budgeting.
Now, here are a few tips to help you start tracking your spending effectively. 1. Save your receipts until you've recorded the transaction. Looking at your credit card statement won't tell you what you bought at Target. 2. Be sure to include online transactions. Anytime money leaves your wallet or your bank account, that should be a new line on your expense tracker. Include automated withdrawals and bill pay transactions. 3. Don't forget to enter cash transactions. And 4. Do it every day. If you let 4 days go by, it's so much more difficult to recreate your spending. Make a habit of doing it each day before you go to bed. And a quick warning, if you've never diligently tracked your spending and you're under the impression this will be a fun or an easy exercise, I warn you, it probably won't be. You'll have to be meticulous and diligent. Starting new habits is hard. Also, seeing the actual numbers written down might be discouraging. I promise you it will be worth it to get a clear picture of where your money is going.
The simple act of tracking your spending might even help you curb your habits. You might avoid making unnecessary purchases just so you won't have to write them down, either for shame or laziness. If you've ever tracked your food intake for a health class or to improve your diet, you may have noticed this same phenomenon. It's a nice side benefit of tracking your spending habits too.
So the day 3 challenge is start tracking your spending, every penny, every expense, every day for the rest of the challenge, and hopefully beyond. I simply can't adequately express the importance of this exercise, even for those of us who think we already know all about our expenses.
We'll see you back here tomorrow.